So I mentioned before we started recording too that I kind of want to talk about how the everyday grappler can, if they don't have a lot of time, they're always busy. A lot of people that listen to this are, like me. They have kids, day job, 401ks. They can't get injured during jiu-jitsu because not only it takes them off the mats, it's a possibility that it takes them out of work too. So how can like your everyday grappler do things when they only have like 15, 20 minutes, maybe an hour if they're lucky to in their day to improve their strength and conditioning to prevent injuries?
Yeah. So again, another two-pronged answer here. The first part is if you don't have equipment or if you don't have a lot of space or whatever it is, isometrics are your friend. You can make any bodyweight exercise really, really difficult if you just hold the position, which has high transferability when it comes to jiu-jitsu because that's what happens a lot, right? You get a position and you hold the position. And so...
Can you explain isometric real quick, just in case people at home don't know?
So, say, for instance, if you're thinking about a squat, just squatting down into the bottom of the squat and holding the squat. And not just, like, if you have the mobility to sit all the way down to the ground, not doing that, but you want tension on the muscle the whole time. So if you were to stop at 90 degrees, say, right, and just hold for 30 seconds or a minute. Or if you think about a plank is an isometric exercise or a side plank. It's anytime there's no muscle movement involved, but there is muscle contraction happening, that's your isometric. So for somebody who doesn't have equipment or doesn't have a lot of space, isometrics are your friend. Those are really easy ways to build strength. Isometrics and eccentrics, I should say. I've got one member who he competes nearly every weekend. He travels a lot. He's always in hotels. He doesn't always have a gym. And so we built him a program that was built on time under tension, right? Mm-hmm. How long can we hold the contraction? So one of his exercises was a split squat. So 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. And it was a minute long rep. So 30 seconds down, 30 seconds up.
I'm already sweating.
It's crazy, right? But that's how you can do it, right? And we're not going to do a ton of sets of that. You might do 1 or 2 sets of that. But that's enough. And so if you don't have the space or the equipment, that's one way that you can do it. Is through isometrics and eccentrics. Just slowing everything down will help. If you do have, a gym or somewhere you can go that you can do that stuff. The key, and I guess this goes for both cases in general, is you want to push something, you want to pull something, you want to squat, you want to hinge, you want to lunge, and you want to carry stuff. Those are the staples as far as strength and conditioning goes. If you didn't know where to start, those things are going to give you the most bang for your buck. It doesn't have to be super complicated. It can be, the more I've learned, the simpler my programs have gotten, right? Because you don't need a ton of bells and whistles and crazy exercises. Instagram is a treasure trove for crazy jiu-jitsu techniques as it is for crazy exercises in the gym. You see people balancing on things they don't need to balance on and jumping off things they don't need to jump off of.
Doing pull-ups with a bench and a barbell attached to them.
like you don't. It makes for good. I guess it makes for good social media, but it's. Honestly, 99.99999% of people are not going to do that, or they're not going to need to do that to get the adaptation that you're looking for. So squat, hinge, lunge, push, pull, carry. If you do those, you'll be all right.
So let's talk about, you've competed quite a bit and you work with competitors. Do you also program warm-ups for them before they step on the mats for competition?
That's funny you say that, actually. I hadn't before, but the more I've competed, the more I've realized that everybody who's competing is just winging it.
Bro, I just interject. I just competed for the first time last weekend, and this was something that I was like, what the hell am I supposed to do right now? I'm just like jumping around, like stretching arbitrary things. You know what I mean? And I was like, I really just don't understand what is going to give me the best bang for my buck right now in this 15 minutes I have before I go jump on the mats and compete at full strength, full speed, full intensity. You know what I mean?
Okay, so shameless plug. Go to our Instagram at Victory High Performance. If you click the link in our bio, the very first thing is a warm up for BJJ competitions.
Oh, Jesus, man. What am I doing with my...
Go there, get that. It's free. We want people to use it. My dream is to show up to a competition, be in the bullpen, and see other people doing the things that I'm doing. Because it is completely random. People are all over the place. It's so the way we've structured it is just like how we would structure more or less our lifts in the gym. Okay, so the first thing is we want to mobilize the joints. So we go through a full CARS routine. For those who are unfamiliar, CARS stands for controlled articular rotations. And essentially it's just isolating each joint and moving it through the full range of motion. Super simple. There's a whole, we go through from the neck all the way down to the toes in that video on our Instagram. The key there is what we're trying to do is we're trying to lubricate the joints, prepare them for higher levels of work, right? Then once you get through the CARS routine, we go through just a dynamic warm-up, and it's built so that you can do it standing in place because you don't have a lot of space in the bullpen, right? You go in and there's a bunch of people around and you maybe have, 4 square feet to yourself. And so you got to be able to do something without having to make a lot of, use a lot of space. And so it's something as simple as just knee hugs in place, the quad stretch in place. We go through skips. There's a little bear crawl variation, like a high knee run, straight leg kicks. Like there's several things that you can do that don't take any space that you can use to prime. Or first we want to raise the heart rate, increase the temperature of the tissue, right? So that you're not going in cold into full blown competition, and to what's called potentiate. So just make things springy, right? We want to be fast when we go. So we got to do some pogos and skips and things like that to kind of get ourselves into the rhythm or into the into that space where we're able to explode quickly. But we also don't want to gas out, right? You see how many people you probably saw. We kind of poke fun at it, but you probably saw a bunch of people doing burpees, a bunch of people doing jumping jacks, a bunch of people doing push-ups really fast. You probably saw a bunch of crunches, right? And so while all of those things do increase your heart rate and they might warm you up, they don't warm you up from a sports performance perspective, which is our goal.
And how long is that video? How long?
Video is 8 minutes,
Okay.
And you can follow along with it. It might take you a little bit longer at the beginning, just learning the sequence. But once you learn the sequence, it takes 10, 15 minutes tops to do the whole thing. And then we've got a bunch of information on, what happens if my bracket gets delayed, because that happens all the time. Well, okay, you just stop and then go through it again. You just you adjust your timing based on when your bracket's supposed to go. And then the other thing that people could use it for is honestly open mats. Because how many times have you got on the mat, you go to open mat, slap, bump, go, and then next thing you know, somebody's hurt. And so I'd say that's probably probably one of the leading causes of injury at open mat is people just don't warm up. And so this warm up can be used for competition or open mat or whenever you step on the mats. It's worth going through because it's going to get you the most bang for your buck from a warm up perspective.